Well, in general, the AEW attendance issues have become a bit of a talking point because coming out of Wembley and all the bragging, and no matter what the number is, it's something Tony Khan should brag about. They did something amazing there just based off the brand and the energy around it. But they come home and Cincinnati for Dynamite, which we're not reviewing today, I think it was a little under 3,000.
It was a few more than a little.
Well, it was a little above 2,000.
And then you got to shave off the comps because
Here we go again. Yeah. Is that the turnstile count, or is that who bought tickets? That's right.
and again, and I had a report from somebody who was in Cincinnati, said they were selling tickets at the end 2 for $14 and couldn't get 3,000 people in this giant building in the plumber's hometown. Apparently they're all proud of him up there.
And they're building to the annual Arthur Ashe Stadium show on Long Island, or in Queens, technically.
I don't think they care too much about the plumber up there. He's not either from Long Island or Arthur Ashe Stadium. He's from Cincinnati.
Right, but
they don't like the plumber in Cincinnati. He's not yet overcome Taft as Ohio's favorite son.
Well, in Long Island, they have MJF, and AEW 2 years ago at Arthur Ashe Stadium, I think it was in the range of 20,000 fans. Last year, I think it was in the range of 13,000 fans. As of today, for the show in a little less than a week, I believe it was under 7,000 tickets sold.
Brian, what was the attendance for approximately, we're not going to go through that whole game again, but for Texas Stadium in 1984, Flair versus Kerry title change?
I believe it was 32,000.
And then what was the crowd for 1985 Texas Stadium? I'll answer that. It was a $250,000 house. That means about probably 22,000. They lost 10. What was the crowd for 1986 Texas Stadium?
Maybe 15, maybe at the most.
And then did they, was the 87 was the last one, right?
No, they did one in 88 too, I believe.
Oh shit. Okay, so they got down to about 5,000 or 6,000, didn't they?
Maybe less than that.
I think AEW's outrunning them here. I believe they've gone from 20 to 13 to 5. This is 84, 85, 87. What, Jesus Christ, they'll be down to 2,500.
They kill the markets that they return to. It keeps happening over and over again. And, let me ask you this. We all put so much focus, and rightly so, because it is the biggest revenue stream. We put so much focus on the ratings. Vince Russo said something years ago, and it was so counterproductive, but when you look at the business today, it's almost like it became reality. When people would throw in his face when he would deny any blame for the death of WCW, they would say, house show business died. Pay-per-view business died. And he would say, I wasn't hired for those things. I was hired just to get the ratings up. That's my job. I'm a writer. It's not my job to worry about those things. And I think, unfortunately, maybe not with the same thought process behind it, that's what we have now. Everything's about what you're getting on TV. They really don't do much to make it so that you have to attend, so you feel you need to attend. And they're not even getting the ratings that Russo was getting in 99.
Well, I'd say that was the frustrating part about him also. For one thing, he never plainly articulated that feeling that he had, which, by the way, is completely ridiculous. And the problem with hiring somebody that knew nothing about the wrestling business was that he didn't even understand the job they had hired him for. In the WWF, when he originally got into business, that still was the main revenue stream for Vince was pay-per-view. But he didn't like it because it was almost all matches and not any of his fucking dramatic effluvia. And in WCW, whether you like it or not, that was still they owned the company. So without the pay-per-view revenue, they owned the network, is what I'm trying to say. So it's not like they had the network paying them a ridiculous amount of money for the programming. They were them. And they weren't hauling in record numbers on advertising revenue on the TV shows. but they still had a business model where they could make millions on pay-per-view and by ticket sales. But dipshit couldn't control that, and that was out of his goddamn. He couldn't be William Shakespeare and Stephen King rolled into one at the house shows because he'd had nothing to do with them. Because you don't need to write house shows, and the pay-per-views were telecast house shows. He just wanted to do the goddamn shit that he could fucking. In his own way, he was Tony Khan playing with action figures, only they were somebody else's action figures he'd been put in charge of watching. And he didn't know how to take care of other people's fucking toys.
And with Tony Khan, other than big matches or dream matches for certain fan bases in certain cities, the show is a collection of skits. And not good. This isn't SCTV, folks. This is not Monty Python. A collection of bad skits and then some things around that. I think because of that, people feel they could stay home and watch it.
Well,
Even
and
if, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, we don't even know, is Tony behind the skits, or are the boys who are allowed to do mostly whatever they fucking want behind the skits to try to make sense out of the goddamn matches that he makes? Because we hear, well, they don't really write our promos for it. Well, it shows in a lot of cases, these mush-mouthed morons. But Tony is not a booker. He's a matchmaker. And a matchmaker used to be a synonym for booker that you could use out in public. But they are two different things. Tony writes down matches. It would be cool if so-and-so wrestled so-and-so. And he writes it down. Why would it be cool? What is their motivation? Why are they mad at each other? Why do they want to compete against each other? Who wants to get even with who? What kind of story is told leading up to that? And what's your finish to lead down the road to another fucking clash between these two star-crossed individuals? He don't know that. He just thinks it'd be cool to watch them do their moves to each other. Fuck. You're getting me stirred up now. So yes, you need, besides the fact that I would have to think that even for the AEW fans, watching their live events or their live TV tapings like watching the TV. You see everything constantly all the time, and then at the end of it, what is your motivation to come back next time and see more of the same stuff you see every week with the same people? Because he never gets rid of anybody. And now I know that a lot of the big stars don't want to show up and come to work anymore. They send in tapes and are not seen in front of the people, but still, it's the same thing. There's no program or angle going on that requires you to buy tickets to see matches. You can watch the TV for free and see what MJF says to Cole and vice versa. And the thing they had that might have been attractive was Punk and MJF to settle the title issue that they could have built toward, and that's gone. By the way, CM Punk is still the real AEW World Champion. He was never defeated for it. Regardless of what he does with the belt, that'll be a fact for the rest of everybody's life. He'll be the one guy that was never beaten for that fucking title. So there's no, that's what we were talking about 3 or 4 years ago. How long can the world's biggest crowdfunding operation continue to go on? Tony's a billionaire, or his father is. He can spend all the money he wants on a wrestling promotion. But how much money can the fans spend supporting the promotion? So at first it was, yeah, we'll buy a ticket for all, and we'll buy everything. Now it's, well, shit, they're back in Cincinnati again. I'm a little short this month. It's not first time ever or once in a lifetime or
hot feuds. People attend to see hot feuds. Yeah, I mean, there's none of that. What's the hottest feud in AEW right now? What is the most, I'm not even going to use heat. What is the most energy right now as a feud? I guess maybe only MJF and Samoa Joe, but beyond that, what is the best feud in AEW right now? Or the hottest?
I mean, the particulars will say, oh, well, the BBC hates the other people, whoever they,
Yeah, they hate everyone. So there's no feud there. I guess you could maybe argue Omega and Callis. Does that feel like a hot feud?
Nothing with Kenny feels hot.
Or Callis?
It doesn't feel either hot or callous.
So that's the thing. They have nothing hot. They were able to ride the positive energy of the creation of the brand for so long. But we always said they're going to hit a wall and they're going to have the traditional wrestling things ready.
Well,
Feuds, angles, booking.
they have run through and run past all that and gotten to the point. It's a story that I was told right when I first got in business. I wasn't there. I wasn't even there, but it had just happened. Was that, remember when Georgia Championship Wrestling invaded Ohio, Michigan, West Virginia, started doing the northern tours because that area was dark and wasn't having any live wrestling since the Sheik's territory. And several people told me that they loved going up there working. What was this, 81, 82?
82, 83.
Yeah, whatever. They loved going up there because the people hadn't seen live wrestling, and they rang the bell and they locked up and got a headlock, and the people were screaming. Virgin territory was the word that used to be used amongst the boys, where the people hadn't seen live wrestling in so long. They'd pop on everything. They were with everything. You didn't have to kill yourself. Don't run off and leave them. They're screaming as loud as they can scream, right? But where they made the mistake was Ole was still booking it like he was booking everything in Georgia that had seen regular wrestling on a weekly basis for the previous 40 fucking years. And they started doing run-ins too early. And they started doing fucking juice too early and angles too early, to where they could have done the same business for a year, year and a half, just with the normal wrestling, but they started hotshot and overloading it because they were treating it not like a virgin territory, but like their whores territory down south. Tony and all these guys have taken so many bumps, broke so much furniture, bled all over the place, been hit by vehicles, stadium stampede, no rules, no rules, no regrets, no repercussions. What are you going to do now? And again, he had the two best talkers in the company, MJF and Punk, in separate issues that could both be interesting. Now he's lost one. Joe is doing a tremendous job as a heel, but Samoa Joe and MJF can't do everything. And everybody else is just a generic indie wrestler because they don't understand the nuances and the fucking past the superficial understanding of let's go out and do these moves to how to, for the long term, manipulate people's emotions rather than just numb them and make them immune to constant car wrecks.
Is there a difference in what people will watch versus what people will pay to see?
Sometimes, yes. I mean, you'll watch all kind of fucking horse shit for free, right? If you're bored.
Yeah.
Or just, you're watching the kids, or just, hey, it's hot outside. I'll just sit here and watch goddamn Teen Mom or whatever fucking bullshit. Remember, I watched Honey Boo Boo 6 or 7 different shows just because I was goddamn astonished that people like that could get on television in this day and age. But you ain't going to pay to go look at fucking Mama June's stretch marks.
So for several months, AEW TV typically started with an Orange Cassidy match, right? And even if you want to argue that because he started the show and that's typically one of the higher points in the show, he had a part to do with that rating, I'll give you that. But if you're doing that with him over and over again, but more and more people aren't actually paying to come see him, A, is that a problem if your revenue stream is purely based around ratings and not the house shows or the live attendance? And, well, take it from there, actually.
Well, yeah. Again, if you have a television show of any kind, right? What's a big hit? Seinfeld. Seinfeld was a big hit television show, right?
Yeah. Number 1.
Okay. But if If suddenly they had gotten the opportunity, if Taylor Swift said, I want to come into Jerry's apartment in the middle of every show and do a fucking song. Well, she's the hottest goddamn musician in the world, and a bunch of people want to watch her too. And I'm sure they pay to see her, so they'd watch her for free. But does it fit the fucking show? Just because you've got a segment of the audience that will watch, ironically, as the kids say, for this fucking clown, this joke, this parody of wrestling. Oh, he's making fun of all the fake shit that the rest of them do.
He should divide up the 3 shows. Dynamite should be the wrestling show. Rampage should be all women. And then Collision should be like the AEW comedy hour.
Well, but
give all audiences what they want and let's see what happens.
The problem is 2 of those shows would be overstocked and one of them would have guys out there for 30, 40 minutes stretching. I'll leave you to pick which one.
Well, this has been the live attendance AEW report, but Jim, if I was behind AEW, if I had money in AEW, some of the things we've talked about may make me think, I'd like to take off my shoes and take off my socks and lay back and have a nice glass of wine.
Oh, God. As soon as you talked about taking off your shoes and socks, I was like, wait a minute. We don't have foot powder on the docket this week, but we do have our friends over at First Leaf. Brian, there's all kinds of reasons to celebrate over the summer, and now the fall is coming up. You can celebrate family get-togethers, barbecues, pool parties, vacations, camping trips in the fall, the crisp air out there amongst the trees and the blossoms and the birds and the chipmunks and the squirrels and the rabbits and the raccoons and the coyotes and the bears, all that type of thing out while you go camping. You go camping a lot, don't you?
Never.
Well, you should drink some wine, then you'll want to go camping. But whatever you want to celebrate. And let's say little Johnny's testicles dropped last week. Get a case of wine and go to town. And the people at First Leaf make it so easy for you. Because First Leaf gets you personalized wine boxes delivered on your schedule. You even get to choose the day that the box of wine comes, so none of these porch pirates can get involved. You'll be right there, and as I mentioned, they can bring it right to your door or window or whatever. If you've got a hole in your
front
wall,
door, no holes in the wall.
If you're currently living in a carport,
a carport. Well, listen, it has to be an actual address. I feel pretty firm in saying this.
Most carports are at addresses.
How would you?
Do you have to be the person that lives in the house, or could you just be living in the carport?
Look, I don't know. This is not in the small print here or the large print either, to be honest.
Well, I'm just trying to look at this small print, but all you have to do when you go to firstleaf.com, and by the way, that's FIRSTLEAF, for those of you who might be inquiring, you answer some quick questions about your likes and dislikes that they've got on the website, and their expert team of wine pickers, the wine expert, the sommeliers, will select a customized assortment of world-class wines based on your preferences. So you just tell them, answer the questions. What pisses you off? And then they determine the right kind of alcohol to send you to take the edge off of that. Or in some cases, who pisses you off? Is it a family member, a politician, your boss? They've got a wine that will take the edge off of that hatred and lead to you not potentially having charges filed against you. All you got to do is tell them what you want to get over, and they'll send you a box of wine that'll help you out with it.
Well, that's not exactly how the survey goes. It's more about your palate, your taste, what you're into, and also what you want to do at the end of your day. Are you someone who wants to watch TV or someone who wants to lay on the couch? You could do both and find out what's best for you with First Leaf.
Or if you're just somebody that wants to do some drinking, you can have some wine delivered to your door. You never even have to go to the wine store. Or the liquor store, or any other kind of store.
Or the grocery store in some states.
It says wine store here. Some people go to liquor stores. Some people go to wine stores. There's all kinds of liquor in the front, poker in the rear. There's all kinds of establishments. But every selection here is backed by First Leaf's 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't like their wine, they will personally go to the vineyard that produce that wine, and they will slap the women stomping the grapes around.
No, there's no slapping of anyone, and there's no going to the vineyard and slapping any of these wonderful people making this wonderful wine. Now, you could check out for yourself from First Leaf.
Well, and here's the thing. How do we know where their feet have been? That always, ever since I saw I Love Lucy, that bothered me. What if there's corns, calluses, carbuncles, cankers, ingrown toenails? Anyway, that doesn't happen with First Leaf because they're quality merchandise here. They make sure the people stomping the grapes for this wine are wearing fucking boots, covering up all that ugly toe rash and everything.
I think we could say that there's no one with any toe rashes, but we don't know for sure what method is used to create this wonderful wine. But we know that you could check it out today from First Leaf.
That's right. To make sure you've got great wine when you want it this summer, you got to try First Leaf. Just head over to tryfirstleaf.com. I already spelled First Leaf. Tryfirstleaf.com/JCE. That's where you go. Tryfirstleaf.com/JCE. Sign up. You're going to get your first 6 hand-curated bottles for just $44.95. They have picked these bottles out amongst all the bottles in the world. These are some of the best bottles. And then they took some wine and poured it in there. These bottles are beautiful. Go to tryfirstleaf.com/JCE and get your first 6 bottles of wine for under $8 a bottle. This ain't no Thunderbird. It's not even Ripple. And Brian, I've told you many times what you get when you cross eggnog with Ripple. Egg nipple. It's not that. It's quality wine at an affordable price that the whole family can get stewed on. Tryfirstleaf.com/JCE.